Okay, good morning. We do have a couple of candidates who are coming in just a few minutes. I understand the traffic was really horrendous out there this morning, but we have a couple of things that we can do before we really get started with the forum. I'm going to ask Reverend Charlotte Brown, to come forward and give us a prayer.
That's okay. Charlotte, Reverend, Judge, everything Graham. Good morning to everyone. Let us prepare our hearts and minds. Let's just quiet down for 1 second. Meditate for 2 seconds. Take a deep breath. Breathe in. 8 counts. Breathe out. 8 counts. Breathe in. 4 counts. Breathe out. 4 counts. O most holy God, our Father Almighty, we come before you in the name of Jesus and all that you represent, God. All the religions, all the peoples, all the cultures, but bottom line, God, you created the heavens and the earth. And we made of dust, you gave us life, the breath of life. And we thank you for that. We thank you for it today. We thank you for this opportunity that we can come together as sisters and brothers. God, I know there are campaigns. I've been in them. Campaigns can be contentious, but that does not excuse us from not loving one another, oh God. Help us to be mindful of the behavior. Help us to be mindful of our thoughts. Help us to be mindful of our ways. Let our speech always represent you. We ask you to bless this meeting, give the candidates, bless the candidates, God, give them strength as they go on this journey. God, let them enjoy the path. Let them smell the roses as they go along. Give them victory if victory belongs to them. We ask these blessings in the name of thy dear Son. Amen.
Amen. Okay, we just have a couple of more things before we get started. One is, I want to thank all of you who attended the Christmas party. It was amazing. And I just want to thank you for your donations for our coffee fund. We appreciate it. We love you. We appreciate all of you. Thank you so much. And I want to thank Carlenia and her team for organizing it. It was very good. The games were great. Okay, now Laura McCletty is going to come forward with an announcement, and then I'm going to...
Good morning, and once again, welcome to everyone that's here. And thank you all for being here this morning. And we thank our listening audience as well. I just want to share a few words with you. We oftentimes forget to recognize or to let you know how we handle things here at Tuesday Morning Forum. Most of the faces that are here this morning, you've been here before, so you know what we do and why we do it. But we wanted to make sure, and we know that we were getting the information, the feedback about who you are to contact for what. We all have a role. And I just like for all of those that are engaged and are consistent and that we continue to volunteer to please stand. You know who you are. Please stand so you can see, this audience can recognize you. Starting with you, Ken and Jasmine, Robert, Jackie, Natalie, Steve, Shay, Dr. Thomas Moore, and am I missing anyone? We have Mary over here. But anyway, we're the ones, you can be seated now, we're the ones that volunteer, and we're here almost every Tuesday morning, every week, except when we take out during the Christmas time. But just as information, if you would like to be a presenter at the Tuesday Forum, and Sarah Stevenson did a succession plan, and she asked Jackie Walton, Jackie please stand, Edwards, to facilitate, convene, be a convener, and me to be a convener. So we're the individuals that you are to contact if you would like to support us in any way. And we're talking about if you want to sponsor a breakfast or buy coffee, or if you would like to present to Tuesday Forum. We have a system that is in place that we're satisfied with. But all of us, like for the month of February, Winston Robinson, who is one of our facilitators, is planning the scheduling for February. Mary Johnson, for Women's Month, is planning the schedule for March. Natalie McGarrett has been asking us to consider bringing our leaders in our community for years, and she did that this year. She brought a bunch of them in, and they responded to her in a positive way. So we all have different roles that we play, but if you want to sponsor or you want to be a speaker, you know, for the month of February, Winston.
It's full.
And for the month of March, Mary, and all of our leaders in our community, particularly the African American leaders, Natalie. And the scheduling for what she did this year was right at the end of the year. So, but anything else that you need, the two of us, we have cards on the back, we have telephone numbers and contact information. I prefer a text. And Steve is still with us. Steve has been with us all these years. Let's give him a hand. And he says he's not going to leave us, but he will be around. He's going to be still assisting us at any capacity that he possibly can. So that being said, I'm going to turn it back over to Mary, and if you have any questions, you see all of us, the ones of us that are involved, and feel free to speak, ask questions, or if you want to volunteer to do anything, just you know who you need to contact. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, well, Laura's already introduced the facilitators, so I won't do that. Thank you. Just keep in mind that this runs until 10 o'clock. So we will stop a few minutes before 10 to take announcements. Okay, and I'm sure that you all have a busy day that you want to get to. Let's see, do we have anyone here for the first time? I see a lot of first timers here. And if you would, just please say your name. You don't have to give a speech about who you represent and all that. We just need to know your name, that's all. Thank you.
Welcome. My name is Jillian Lane.
Okay. You have any other first that you want to, I'll go on this
Good
side.
morning, everyone. I'm Renee Harrison.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Beth Sanchez.
Who on this side?
Good morning, I'm Charles Deloach.
Good morning, I'm Nina Wynn.
Kevin Douglas.
Anybody else? Okay, we are.
Hi, I'm Shanae Hobson.
We want to welcome you, and please don't let this be your last time coming. We're here every Tuesday, most every Tuesday of the year. So please come back again. Okay, we're gonna take just a moment of silence for you to silence your phones. We want every phone to not ring during the presentation. It's very distracting. Please silence your phone. Okay, I'm going to introduce our guests today. They're each going to present. Maybe you talk 2 minutes, two minutes each, and then we will take questions from the audience. The rule is that you have 30 seconds to ask your question. So that means that you don't have time for a commentary, okay? But ask your question in 30 seconds, and then you can direct your question to one person, or you can ask all of them. But if you ask all of them, I'm going to ask you to be brief, because if everybody's got an answer, we want to give everyone as many questions as we can to get answered. Natalie McGarrett, hi.
Good morning.
Right here, thank you. Natalie McGarrett is our timekeeper, And she's gonna hold this up for 30 seconds for the audience, and then, when your time is up, she will hold that up. But I want to introduce who we have here today. We have, North Carolina House 99, Valeria Levy. If you can just kind of raise your hand, Valeria, she just came in. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone.
Uh-huh.
Sorry, I'm late.
The incumbent Nassif Majid. We have Tucker Neal. Thank you. And for House 106, we have Carla Cunningham. Raise your hand. I know you. And Rodney Sadler. And Vermano Bowman is not able to be with us this morning. He has a family emergency, so he will not be with us this morning. But I want to go ahead and get started because we want to hear from everyone. So I guess I'll just start right here. We have two microphones, and so if you all can kind of share the microphones. And make sure you hold it up close to your mouth because we do have a streaming audience. And they're not able to hear you unless you have it up here. Okay.
And also, it's okay to stay seated. It's better for our cameras if you do.
Stay seated.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Okay, you want to get started?
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Let's see.
Try to see that light,
There we
that
go.
green light.
Good morning. I'm loud anyway. Good to be with you all this morning. I wanted to start off by saying I'm excited because I just got back from a civil rights travel seminar. In 8 days, we toured 8 different cities learning about the history of the civil rights movement. And one of the things that reminded me is that no matter what we're faced with, we will overcome. I'm grateful to be here today. I drove all night from Nashville, Tennessee to get here. And in part, I'm here because I want to put the people of North Carolina first. I first went to the General Assembly back in 2013 when we had a change in administration. And we had extremists that were in the legislature trying to do things that would take money from our public education, that would undermine our ability to have equal voting rights, that would work against our access to health care. And I remember I went into the General Assembly building, I sang songs and prayed prayers and tried to advise my elected officials and got arrested. And I've been working since that point in time to make sure that we put the people first. What does that mean to put the people first? It means that we have to make sure that everyone has access to a livable wage. Amen? Living in a place like Charlotte, it gets kind of expensive. We want to make sure that everyone has access to affordable housing. Housing that we can afford. There's no reason that you should work a 40-hour week and not be able to afford to pay for housing. We want to make sure that everyone has access to affordable health care. I want to say thank you to Carla Cunningham for the work that she did and work that I've done with her in order to make sure we had Medicaid expansion in our state. But I want to make sure that you know that I'm running to put the people of North Carolina first. Far too often, corporate interests, other interests have taken priority, but we want to make sure that the people are first.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much to the Sarah Stevenson Forum for having me, and thank you so much to everyone for being here. I want to say thank you to the fellow candidates as well. I want to say a little bit about myself and just my main platform pillars. My name is Tucker Neal. I'm a first-time candidate. I grew up in rural Rockingham County, North Carolina, and I moved to District 99 in 2022 to attend UNC Charlotte. I just graduated with my Bachelor of Arts in Sociology and my Bachelor of Science in Psychology, and I fell in love with this community that we all live in and love. I decided to run in this election because of a need for new and younger leadership that I feel like we have a calling for across the board. I want to run to help stop some of these current GOP decisions that are putting all of us in detriment. And I want to work for the people instead of working for corporations like so many of our lawmakers tend to end up doing. I created my campaign platforms based on the need in District 99. We have a 1.5 times the state average poverty rate. We have a 30-year median age, which is younger than the state average, and 55% of our residents rent their home. So our top platform is rent control and holding corporations accountable for this greediness is the only way to put it. We need increases of affordable housing. We need increases in teacher pay and public education funding, something I will always consistently vote for and introduce legislation for. We're running on the protection of immigrant rights and freedoms and the defunding of ICE. We're running on voter representation and de-gerrymandering, public safety, mental health support, and gun restrictions. Our campaign supports many more issues that are facing our state and community, but I promise to always vote with my constituents instead of to gain profits or power, which brought me to create our new slogan, new leadership and true representation, which is exactly what we stand for. Thank you again, everyone.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Hope everyone's doing well. I am Valeria Levy. Let me say thank you for having us here. And again, I apologize for being tardy. My campaign is grounded in what I call a circle of service. And the reason I call it a circle of service because most of us don't live one issue lives. If one thing happens, the other thing happens, then the other thing happens, then the other thing happens. Many of us will say when it rains, it pours. But in reality, it's just the circle of life. In District 99, when healthcare fails, it affects whether parents can work. When wages don't keep up, families struggle with housing and childcare. When transportation or internet is unreliable, kids miss school and miss appointments. And when schools are drastically underfunded, the impact ripples through the entire neighborhood. That's why, again, my platform is built on 6 very connected pillars. Healthcare that works when you need it, jobs that pay enough and children families can afford, infrastructure that gets people to work, school, and to care, affordable housing and manageable energy costs, education that works for every child and every teacher, and real constituent services. When something isn't working and something isn't right, you need to have an office and person that you can call, ask the question whether or not they're in this district or not. Circle of service means we stop treating problems in isolation and start governing for real life. It means showing up, listening, and following through for every family, every neighborhood, and every classroom in District 99. And thank you so much for having me.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Glad to see you all here. I am Carla Cunningham, and I'm serving my 14th year, so that's 7 terms. I'm a senior legislator. First of all, I'm a mother, I'm a grandmother, and I'm also a nurse of over 35 years of service in my profession. I'm just going to talk about a few accomplishments that I have already gotten done and want to continue to do for us. I got $23 million to come to Mecklenburg County. One of those entities is the Kate Blessing Foundation, $17 million. Why did I do that? Because the adolescent psychiatric treatment beds in the state are most of the time not available to us. And so we very much need those 70 beds in Mecklenburg County for our juveniles that are in trouble and for the behavioral health. I also got school lunch debt wiped out across the entire state. $3 million initially, $3 additional million every biennial, every budget cycle, which is recurring. I also got 2 additional jail inspectors. Why do I care about that? Because we have people inside of the jail that are dying. They're dying from overdoses as well as suicide. And most of these individuals are males and they're under the age of 35. Yes, I got those. But I did have to work across the aisle to get it. Just like I had to work across the aisle to get school lunch debt right now. Why? Because we're not in charge. The power lies in the Senate, is Republican, and the power lies in the House, is Republican. Now, I also negotiated behind the scenes for sports wage bidding in North Carolina. We would not have gotten anything if I had not negotiated. I negotiated for 5 HBCUs, Elizabeth City State University, Fayetteville State University, North Carolina Central University, Winston-Salem State University, and A&T. Today, they're getting over $3 million coming into their athletic departments to invest in their universities. Thank you.
Peace, everyone. I'm the CPG. And thank you, Tuesday Morning Forum, for doing what you do to help build our community. I serve you as representative in the North Carolina House District 99. And for 8 years, I served you on the Charlotte City Council. And in my last year alone, I infused over $200 million into the urban core. I flew over 120 combat missions over North Vietnam. I was aircraft commanding captain of the B-52 strategic bomber. When I got out of service, I was the second pilot, African-American pilot, to fly with Piedmont Airlines. I'm a businessman. I have a Burger King franchise. I built that franchise and I operated it for some 12 years on Bates Ford Road, hiring thousands of people from our community. I worked as a chaplain in the North Carolina Department of Corrections for 14 years. My service to the public has always been to deliver results. It's not talk. Raising teacher pay, Medicaid expansion, veterans benefits, jobs and job growth, parents' rights, making sure that government works for the people in District 99 in the state. This primary is about experience and choices. We face many challenges in this community, and we can meet those challenges. Rising costs of healthcare and preparing children for the future, our educational system. I believe leadership is about building bridges and working across the aisle and not forming walls. I believe leadership is about building bridges again, and progress happens when we work together with respect for each other. Thank you.
Okay, we are ready for questions. Do we have, who's got the first question here? Who has the first question? And just remember, I'm going to repeat myself one time because we have a lot of first timers in here. The question should be 30 seconds and not a commentary. Please just ask your question.
If you have a question, raise your hand.
If you have a question, raise your hand. That's right, I'm sorry. Because we do have a lot of new people here. So she's going to come around and get your name so that, okay, put Blanche on you. Yes, we're very respectful. That's one thing we are. We're very respectful. If you're not respectful, I will cut you off. I'm a teacher. I'm sorry. I set my tone in my classroom, and I know what's right and what's wrong. And we're respectful to everybody. Okay, first question.
I'm proud Smith alum. You both referenced North Carolina A&T, and I just want to comment and say, I don't know what the A&T Aggies gave them $3 million you gave them. It ain't whooped nobody. My question is, this is for Carla and Lucia. How many times and why, in each case, did you vote opposite your party caucus, and what was the most significant outcome of those specific issues that you would consider the most important of those crossing the party lines?
Thank you for the question. I had the statistics right here. Since Cooper in 2019, there were 78 vetoes. And Governor Stein, since his term in 25, there were 15 vetoes. So a total of 93 vetoes. And I voted to sustain 13 of Stein's vetoes. And so only 2 out of the 93 I voted against, and I stood on parents' rights, and I stood on the crisis that we have coming up in the electric building the electric grid and lowering the prices 5 to 6% for our citizens as far as electric bills are concerned. So basically, that's a small percentage that I didn't sustain the governor's vote. You did? Yes. Okay.
Okay. May you repeat the question?
How many times? Oh.
Bring back.
Right behind you, right behind you.
How many times and why did you, in each case, did you vote opposite your party caucus and the most significant outcome of that specific single issue that you would consider the most significant?
So, according to the bills, 300 bills came through the legislature. Out of that 300 bills, I only crossed on 13. And some of those were vetoed. Those were not the choice of my caucus. In the case, once you're elected, you become all the citizens, elected officials. There are 3 separate branches of government. There's the legislature, the judiciary, as well as the gubernatorial. I'm required to stay as a legislator to represent my constituents and their best interests. In some cases, you got one person coming in saying that, and you got another person coming in to say that, and you have to decipher, do your research, and find out what's the best outcome for your constituents. And that's generally how it works. If you are aligning with the party 100% of the time, I would dare say you're not servicing your constituents. You must cross over in order to get anything done, else you walk out with nothing, and that's everybody. That's on the Democratic side because we don't have power to control those levers where the resources are.
Next question.
Hey everybody, greetings. Black women in North Carolina already face higher maternal mortality and deserve full bodily autonomy without government interference. If elected or re-elected, will you commit to voting against any bill that restricts abortion access, including bans, mandatory waiting periods, or limits based on gestational age, no matter what your personal beliefs are? That's for everybody.
Thank you for the question. I am pro-choice, and I do believe that I should control my body and what happens to it. So I would stay where I am on that. I am pro-choice.
I'm pro-choice, and my vote has indicated that when it came to the floor, and I'll stand by that.
I stand with women and their right to make decisions about their own body consistently, and will always vote for abortion rights as an elected official.
Thank you. Again, my name is Valeria Levy. I have an organization that I started called Her Health Consulting. And the reason I started that is because of the disparities that we see in women's bodies when it comes to Black and brown women. And it's not just being pro-choice, which is a wonderful thing that you can be, but it is also having to look at those other disparities that are caused here in our Black community as well as in our brown community. So yes, I will sustain that and vote pro-choice.
I am definitively pro-choice in every instance. I want to make sure that a woman has a right to choose what goes on with her body. I also want to make sure that we do something about African-American mortality when we talk about giving birth. How do we make sure that we protect women, not just whether they're pregnant, but even after their pregnancy, and making sure that the woman and child have the best opportunity to thrive?
Good morning. All my life, I've been hearing the same thing from politicians and the same, promises. How are you different to actually make these things happen? And it's more of a foundational thing. The system is working like it's planned to work. Like when you say healthcare, you're saying medicine. When you're saying education, this indoctrination. So how are you gonna change these things in the system to actually make a difference instead of feeding into what's already, what it's made for, what it's doing?
Panel. She's asking the entire panel.
Okay.
She wants to know how you're different.
Well, I'm a person of action. You talk about dealing with things in the community. We see a $40 million regional recreation center in our community. I spearheaded that situation. We had a business incubator that affected jobs and job creation in our community. I spearheaded that. We dealing with monies for sports departments for our HBCUs. I was co-sponsored and worked with Representative Cunningham on that. So I'm where the rubber hits the road. I always like to say what we have done, and that's my position as long as I've been my 8 years in the General Assembly. Results, not talk.
Thank you. I like the question. Simply, I want to talk about Medicaid expansion. Because before I was elected, I was working on Medicaid expansion. I worked on the ACA when it was done. We did a coalition here in Mecklenburg County to help push the president to get those results. And Medicaid expansion right now has helped over 700,000 people in North Carolina. And I was able to stay at the table, no matter how difficult it was, by building those bridges and relationships to get to solutions and results. And it is difficult because you're meeting people from 120 parts of the state. And you've got to meet them where they are, whether they have the same philosophy, ideology, or they sound like you, or their background. You've got to learn how to work with people. And I've exercised that for 35 years. As being a health nurse, I was able to go in rooms and say, I don't see a Republican, an independent, or a Democrat, and give them the healthcare services that they deserve. So I am solution driven, and I am very much transactional. And it has been a change and a good shift for me. Thank you.
Thank you for your question. I think that your question comes from being in the community. If you represent, and what I'm seeking to represent is District 99, then I need to understand what the needs are of the community. And those needs need to make sure that they're being heard and fought for in the legislature. That doesn't mean that I'm taking PAC money and my votes reflect that PAC money that I'm taking. What it does mean is that you stand up for your community, you fight against the system that, again, you're correct, was designed to make sure that people are held down. I am a community advocate fighter. I've built my life on that. I am always fighting for all people. I don't lead that way. I've never led that way. I always make sure that community is front and center and being fought for. Anything other than that, you're fighting for the people that are paying you. So as long as you're keeping community in your focus, you should be able to lead effectively. Thank you so much.
How do I feel like I am different, how I could be different as a representative? I feel like, I grew up in the 21st century, and I think that I can be a modern leader to solve modern problems. I feel like, with my life experiences, I have been questioned about my age and, where I'm at in my life journey. But I feel like as a representative, you need to be someone who reflects the people and your constituents, which is something I feel like I can do. I think of myself as a sociological thinker instead of a political thinker, which I think is very important. I've taken place in many sociology research projects, and I feel like I could bring that empirical experience to the table to represent all constituents and put biases aside. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that question. It's a wonderful question. I believe that in democracy, we all have to do all that we can if we want to protect it. If we want self-governance, we have to be involved. I remember when we were trying to get Medicaid expanded and we couldn't figure out a way to do it. I went to the Obama White House and I worked with them on the inside to figure out if there was a pass around, if there were other ways that we could make sure that Medicaid expansion was done. Not only did I do that, I worked with the Moral Monday movement to lead protest on the outside to try to force people's hands. In addition to working in that way, I learned from the Moral Monday movement that we need to be fusion thinkers. That means we need to think about healthcare, environmental justice, education, voting rights as one issue. They're all working for a better society. So I've been trying to work together and have this fusion mode of thinking the entire time. And I believe that by doing this, we will not just get improvements in healthcare, not just get improvements in education, but we'll get the kind of society that we all want.
Good morning, good evening, good night. This is Dr. Blanche Penn. I always leave you with this: if yesterday was today and today was yesterday, what would tomorrow be? So my question to you, that's my motto and I always stand by it. My question to you is, how are you working to support grandparents? I'm always gonna talk about us, raising grandchildren and family facing housing insecurity. This is happening, so what are you doing?
Okay, I'll start. I have worked on several projects with the aging community, and as we all know, we're facing an aging crisis across the entire country. Soon we will have a far more larger proportion of older individuals than young people and middle-aged people. So we need to start working for healthcare that supports those people now and preparing for that. More long-term care funding, more care funding for Medicaid and Medicare. And really just putting those issues first to make a priority for our aging communities, which are often left behind in legislature, I feel like. So, as we look to tomorrow, we need to also look for our aging adults and protecting them.
I understand that concern. I was in part raised by my grandparents. My mom, Ann, is currently raising my 13-year-old niece. We have to make sure that we protect those grandparents that are raising children. One of the things I've done with housing here in Charlotte is worked on a few different projects with churches, trying to open up space so that you can build affordable housing on them. Sugar Place is a great example of that. And in this kind of place, you have the ability to offer affordable housing, particularly the seniors from that community who might be forced out otherwise. And hopefully this will give them the ability to sustain it. By having churches put forward their land, it gives us the opportunity to have less money on the table in order to develop affordable housing. We need creative solutions like this, and we need to find other ways to make sure that housing affordability in Charlotte for grandmothers and grandfathers raising their grandbabies and for everybody is a reality.
Thank you for that question. Thank you for that question. I am and my son is standing in the back of the room there. The reason that he is able to live the life that he lived is because my parents moved here to help me raise him. And that's what's important. You need someone that has that lived experience and understands. Thank you. You need someone that has that lived experience and understands how important it is to not only fight in the legislature to make sure that these budgets and bills are passed, but also is able to talk to the community and make sure that our parents, our grandparents are the focus of what we're fighting for. So thank you again for that question. I have led with the Medicaid expansion. I've worked as a lobbyist in the General Assembly. I've worked in the community to make sure that things that will keep us healthy as a community are in the forefront. And those things need to continue to be in the forefront. We need to continue thinking about everyone and that full circle. Thank you.
Thank you for the question. Currently, I serve on the Property Tax Reform Committee, and we're looking at property taxes. We just started the committee a couple of weeks ago, and we're looking at our seniors specifically because we want people to be able to age in place. Additional dwelling units have come up where you can build additional dwelling unit in the backyard. There are some restrictions, and we're looking at that. I'm also serving on the housing development, where we introduced some legislation last cycle to look at some of the stipulations and the regulations that are keeping people from building those additional dwelling units in their backyards. And why is that important? Because we are an aging population, and that is keeping a lot of people from being able to age in place, as you call it, aging and being able to stay at home. Because if you transition to assisted living, that's $10,000 a month for housing. Now, Medicaid expansion plain Medicaid covers some of the senior living, but that's in ICFs, intermediate care facilities, where we pay about $7,000 a month for not a single bed, 2 beds. Thank you.
Thank you for that question, Dr. Penn. I got so many calls about seniors asking me, what can we do to lower our property tax? I signed on several bills for that, but they went to committee and it died. I recently got appointed to the House Select Committee by the Speaker on property tax reduction and reform. Right on time, because we're gonna work on that. And a lot of people get you to go working on that. And this is how to really get into the logic behind lowering these taxes, especially for our seniors who fixed incomes. Second of all, I served on the Appropriations General Government Commission. And you talk about affordable housing now. I lobbied and worked with my colleagues to get $10 million added to the Housing Financing Agency for housing. Now, that's a pittance, that's a pittance, but I want to do 30 million next time. And so, but we got to work where we are and improve that situation and make it better. Thank you.
Okay, Jennifer.
Good morning, everyone. Jennifer Roberts over here with a cold. So I hope you can hear through my mask. This question is for Representative Cunningham. And we are huge supporters of public education. We know that it is under attack here in North Carolina. And one of the veto overrides that you voted for, Representative Cunningham, is going to provide $2 billion to private school vouchers over the next decade. This money is mostly going to wealthy families. That was the expansion. And I'd love to give you an opportunity to explain your vote on that particular item.
Thank you for the question. Yes, I did, because it was inside of the budget. I have no control of what's inside of the budget, but if I have things inside of the budget that I want to come back to my community, then I'm going to stand with that, because my resources are going to be beneficial to my community. The other thing about the school choice, and there's a misconception about it, that program was started out of Washington, D.C., not by a white woman, but an African-American female, because they were concerned that their children wasn't getting what they should have gotten. So that's the initiation of school choice. Now North Carolina has it. But there is a tier in place of how those students are selected. They go into a lottery. And the first tier covers the lowest economic income children. So it's not to say that those vouchers and that school choice is only benefiting the people at the high level. I have no control over that, but I do know that there's a misconception in the community that minority and lower income children are not in those programs. Yes, they are. Thank you for the question.
Elba.
Good morning, Alba Sanchez again. This question is for Representative Cunningham. You have raised concerns about your safety in recent months. Are you also concerned about the safety of our immigrants' neighbors who are being terrorized by ICE, Trump, and CBP? Lady, why did you vote for HB 318, and how much longer do you think I should continue to carry my passport everywhere I go?
Thank you so much for the question. I voted for House Bill 10, and when House Bill 10 passed and came back, some of the local law enforcement said it was not applicable and it wasn't strong enough for them to enforce the law. So then we came up with House Bill 318, not my initiation because I'm not in charge, but I had already voted for House Bill 10 and my constituents had not reached out to me at all. So when I voted for House Bill 318, it had not significantly changed. It only added a few items in it that was driving while impaired, and if you commit vehicular death, that was added, and they changed from 48 hours to the end. You have to notify ICE. Now, ICE and Border Patrol follow up on the Homeland Security, and there's a reason for Homeland Security. And if we look at what happened just recently down in Mint Hill, ISIS affiliation. In 2023, when House Bill 10 came about, there were 150 to 200 individuals that crossed the southern border. 50 of them were never retained by the Border Patrol or by ICE. So that means that 50, nobody knew where they was in the country. So therefore, we are still at high risk for terrorism in the country, domestic terrorism, as well as foreign or international terrorism. So I definitely believe in supporting, public safety in my community. Now, if you want to talk about immigration, I already made an apology about what I said on the floor of the House. It's out there. The video is available for anyone to go to my website, carlacunninghammchouse.com. Before I went to the House and made those statements, yes, I had received numerous threats, and I'm sure y'all seen it all on the TV in the last day or so. And I didn't speak about it. I held it. But I definitely had internal shock, internal shakeup because of that threat. So when I went to the House and I stood on that chamber floor, I was very upset, very, because my life was put in danger, because my children's life was put in danger, because my grandchildren's life were already put in danger. And that should never happen. I am serving. I've served 14 years this year. I've never had this experience in my life, but the divisiveness is there, and it's a trickle down from the federal level as well into our local communities, and it's time for it to stop. Now, I don't have anything against immigrants. I said illegal migrants. I never identified a particular population when I stood on that floor. I never said Hispanic. I never said Latino. I never said Chinese. I never identified anybody. I said we must follow the law. The law is applicable to everyone, even me. Thank you.
Jay?
My question is for the young lady in the middle. You mentioned Valeria. I'm a community advocate, and you mentioned two things: community advocacy and lived experience. Where does lived experience have the next level when you're talking about legislation that we need you guys to pass? And then how can we provide cover for you as you support the things that we need you to do? Because we're looking at what's going to happen in the next 3 years. People are going to be dying, they're going to be injured. So we need to think about that before. So how can we support you as you support us as we come up to Raleigh? Because we know how Raleigh works and how it affects Charlotte. We're hurting, we need your help.
Thank you. There we go. Thank you for that question. Community is very important. And we need to make sure that there's people out here in the community just like you that are doing the jobs, that are doing the work, that are making sure that the voices are being heard from the ground up. And if we don't, as leaders, make sure that we are meeting with these same community members and understanding what the needs are, then we can't legislate. Then what you're doing is legislating from what you think and what you believe and how you want it to happen. So as long as we continue to have strong community leaders coming to the forefront, as long as we continue to make sure that we're in the community, not just when it's election time, not that when we want your vote, not that when you feel like you now have a challenger, you need to be in the community fighting for all the community at all the times. That means having true constituent services. That means having a standing meeting. That means coming and doing town halls. That means meeting with people that you don't agree with. Because when you go to the legislative building, you are going on those tax dollars. And yeah, we do need to allocate a few more of those tax dollars. But that we are going for that reason. And so we need to make sure we have true constituent services and meeting our communities where they stand. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Gerald Patton, and my question is for two current representatives. In 2004, House Bill 1074 was passed, and that was the amendment to the North Carolina Constitution regarding the eligibility of voters or citizens. Can you guys go into detail exactly why that bill was placed on the ballot? Was it for a nefarious reason? Because it appears as though the Constitution was fine as it was currently written. Why was there a push for amendment to the Constitution?
Thank you for the question, but I'm gonna tell you up front, I have no idea. Because I wasn't there in 2004, and I would have to have a reference to where to locate that specific bill, house number or something.
I apologize, 2024,
What is the house bill number, sir?
1074.
Okay, we'll check.
Okay, do we need to go with the?
Okay. Hello, y'all. How y'all doing? Oh, you gonna go to the next one?
No, I was gonna say, you all are, they're checking on this, so we will come back to them, okay?
Hello, everybody. My name is LaTasia Fitzgerald. I am also a community advocate, and I am a graduate of UNC Charlotte, so hello, Tucker. My question is for all of you, but I definitely wanted to hear from Representative Cunningham. Charlotte is increasingly getting younger and younger. 26% of voters are in that 20 to 34-year-old range. The last time I asked this question at a town hall to Representative Cunningham, you stated that your base is 55 and up. When I asked, what is your youth engagement plan? So my question is, has that changed now that we are going into a midterm election? And then for everyone else, what is your strategy to get young voters out to the polls? Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for the question. You are right, my voter base is 55 and up, but additionally, it is changing. Now we're getting a lot more independents that are coming in, and that number is growing significantly too. Now, I got some young people here with me this morning. Will y'all stand up, young folks that's following me? I got some young people here because they are. Thank you. I'm trying to get the young people to come in and be more engaged in the political scene. Now, you can also page, and I've had several young people to come and page. But there is something about the young people that's different about people in my age bracket. They're more inclined to use their social media. I am on social media, but they're much better at it than I am. But I engage, I had 2 town halls to do outreach. In my district, I'm not all over Charlotte with the rest of the delegation. I stay in my district and make myself available. But I do have an open door policy. They can call my office. I had a young man to call last week and he needed recommendation to go to the military academy. Well, it needed to come from a congressional person, but they reached out to me and they weren't even in my district. And I told them what they needed to do to get it from the congressional person. But we want them to be engaged and be able to call and come up. They can come up anytime they want to. All they got to do is call my office and I'll set it up for them. Thank you.
No, sorry about that.
Oh.
Okay, Majid is gonna answer.
No. I just want to refer to the bill. You said it was H 1074.
Yes, sir. It was the amendment to the North Carolina Constitution.
And it says, and I'm looking it up. I looked it up twice. It says it's not a valid bill. I don't know.
It was the amendment to the North Carolina Constitution.
Do you know what it was in reference to?
Voting rights.
It was the voting rights, the definition, it changed the definition of what was considered to be a U.S. citizen.
HB 127.
It's 127.
I think 127.
HB
127. We didn't answer from everybody else on this one.
We'll come back to it.
We'll come back to that, but it was on the ballot, and there was a lot of discussion about that. A lot of discussion about who they were referencing, about whether or not you're going to be born in this country or something like that. So I'm kind of surprised that you all don't know that. Okay, we need to finish up with her question.
Her question is, how are you going to get the youth engaged in voting?
No, how are you gonna help turn them out? Because I think that.
Okay, so let's finish up with her question, and then we're going to,
Everyone has answered.
Kim.
Only Carla has answered.
Okay, Carla has answered that. Anybody else want to answer how you're going to get the youth involved?
Okay, I'll go next. So youth engagement is a huge part of our campaign. My campaign team is made up entirely of people from 20 to 30, which is the largest age bracket in our district. So I'm very excited about that. And we will be having many events at youth types of gatherings, and we will be doing a lot of our campaigning at UNC Charlotte, which has a student population of 30,000. And out of the almost 80,000 constituents in District 99, that is a large proportion. Yet they are consistently left out of campaigning by people in our district. So I want to make sure that their voices are more than heard. We'll be on campus every single week. We'll be heavy on social media. We have a large social media presence, and we'll be taking that to try to keep young voters knowing that we are working for them, we are not ignoring them, and that their future is very important to us, regardless of who their leader is. Thank you very much.
Thank you. You know, as I sit here and struggle with a little bit of perimenopause, y'all saw me pick up my face. I'm reminded that youth isn't only about age. Yes, youth is age, but youth isn't only about age. When I was traveling before, my mother would make sure that I had videos, and she wasn't a youth at the time. So it's how you perceive your age and how you perceive and community perceives you. I currently have quite a bit of youth involvement, and I think that comes from me going ahead and doing a TikTok. Me going ahead and making sure that I'm reaching out to the Divine Nine, reaching out to several different sororities, fraternities, reaching out to the beauticians, the small business owners, the entrepreneurs. It is all about making sure that you are involving your community in every step of your plan. It's not just saying I'm only going to reach out to youth, because youth could be the grandparent that is raising the youth. So you have to make sure that all of the community is involved every step of the plan, and that is exactly what I'm doing currently. Thank you.
Thank you for that question, and I want to make sure that I answer it adequately. One of the things I want to do is to focus on issues that are of concern to the youth. I want to make sure that we are dealing with concerns like, what is the world that they're going to inherit look like? How do we make sure we protect things like voter rights so that their voices will be heard? How do we make sure that we ensure that they'll have access to health care? Because we know that that's under attack at this point in time. I want to make sure that people are emphasized, that are lifted up, that often contain youth concerns. Things like unions that will talk about union organizing, bringing people together to raise wages for people, to make sure they've got access to benefits. I also want to make sure that we're constantly listening to voices of young people. So for example, my social media manager, it's my daughter, the bird, is my social media manager. I've got wonderful young people on our team. We're constantly making sure that we don't just have youth representation as sort of a proxy way, but that their voices are part of what we're doing. When we talk about putting the people first, we're talking about putting the people first for that next generation as well.
Okay, I think it's my question. I'm Kimberly Owens, Charlotte City Council, District 6. I appreciate all of you being here. I don't need to lay too much of a backdrop for the poor relationship that has historically existed between Raleigh and Mecklenburg. How can you come up with an innovative way to help our city and county get the resources they need for public safety, or any of the things that Charlotte is pilloried for not addressing well when it comes down to a poor relationship with Raleigh? What would you do as part of the delegation from Mecklenburg to help with that?
I think that really just comes down to, making sure that we carry our constituents' voices to Raleigh each and every day, and really be loud when we're talking to our fellow legislators, and stressing the prominence of the issues that are facing our community. The housing crisis in Charlotte has gotten out of control. We're a super fast growing city with poor infrastructure and poor public transportation. And I feel like the more that we raise the prominence of these issues and make our voices heard, the more we have to be listened to. We cannot keep letting urban resources go to the Raleigh area. We have to pull our weight. And I feel like our representatives are currently not doing that. They're currently folding on issues that are affecting our communities very heavily. And as a representative, that is something I will never stand to do. I will always stand up for the people of this county, this district, in this area. Thank you very much.
Working in Raleigh, in the North Carolina legislature, is about relationships. If you don't have relationships, you can't even get to the bathroom. Now, I'm only served this is my 8th year in the legislature. There is an urban-rural divide. It's been there when her husband was serving in the legislature. I picked up an old article. It was about the urban-rural divide. That's back in the 80s. I serve on the agriculture committee, and I have a reason to serve on the agriculture committee. Agriculture is our #1 producer, over $100 billion in the gross product of this state. Now, I served on that committee because I wanted to make relationships with people in the rural areas. That was my long-range term. So I work with people, and you get relationships with people, and then you can share with them some of your concerns, the urban concerns, and you can look at that rural concerns, and you can find some kind of happy medium so you can get something done. And as a result, I can tell you, I serve on this tax committee. And that's gonna get a lot done for our people, but I had to build relationships to even get selected to be on that. So it's a process, relationships.
Thank you for the question, because that is very important. Because the local delegation in Mecklenburg County is not that diverse. It has mostly Democrats on it. And if you look at what the General Assembly is made up of, in the House, there's 120 members, 70-something are Republicans. In the Senate, it's 50 members. Only 17 of them are Democrats. So you have to learn how to operate within that environment. But they have lobbyists, they have government relations people as well that constantly come to Raleigh for their acts of what the community needs back home. And I think we saw that happen with the rail line, the PAC Act that was done for us to get the money for the rail line. It wasn't a Democrat that led the fight to get that, even though we signed on, because the Republicans had a relationship with that individual that came out of our area, and they were willing to work with them on it. It probably wouldn't even have come back for us to get it. But Representative McGee said something very important. It is building those relationships with the people in the other areas of the state so that you can find out what that commonality is. What makes them want to align with you. And it takes time to do that. And it's very important that you do that, or else you get nothing done. Thank you for the question.
Thank you so much. I'd love to say that this would be an easy thing to solve, but I think far too often our General Assembly has painted with a broad brush. We don't just need one system of modes of governance. One minimum wage doesn't work in Raleigh the same way that it works down east. We have to recognize the particularity of different districts. So for example, Mecklenburg County, some of the things that we really need particular abilities to make decisions on are things like inclusionary zoning for housing, making sure that we're able to have affordable housing here and have different rules that may go in place, making sure that we have a minimum wage or a livable wage that makes sense for Charlotte. And that may not make sense in other places, but we can partner with other people in other parts of the state that are saying things like, we need to deal with hog waste down east. We need to make sure that Maiden Lake is cleaned up for the people in that region. If we develop partnerships about how we can make all of the state better and allow people in particular areas to have bills that deal with their particular concerns, I think we'll be able to make the kind of state across the board that works for us all. Painting with a broad brush just doesn't work in North Carolina.
Thank you for that. You know, here's the innovative idea. Work together, right? That's the innovative idea. Make sure that the people that are elected for these positions are working with other people who are elected for these positions so that you have the information that comes from the constituents in the area that elected this person to city council, then that person reaches out to the people that are elected in the legislative building. It's a full circle. If we continue to work in that circle, then we can make the changes that we need. Then we understand what's needed at the ground level. We can make the argument in the General Assembly why the wage needs to be what it is here in North Carolina. We need to make the argument here in the General Assembly how we make that happen. Because like Reverend Dr. Sandler said, what works for Mecklenburg may not work for Eastern North Carolina. But that doesn't mean you argue for it any less. You have to work with the people who are elected. And as the District 99 representative, that's exactly what I will do.
Okay, time is winding down. So what I'm gonna ask the audience, if your question is 30 seconds, and I'm gonna ask you all to 1 minute, okay? We're asking a lot of really great questions, but they are questions that really take more than a minute or even 2 to answer, okay? So just remember that you're just getting a snippet of what it is, okay? Emma, I think is next.
Yeah, Emma Allen, State Farm. I want to circle back to Ken's question earlier for Representative Cunningham in particular. 13 feels like a lot of vetoes, and I wonder if you want to address any of the others. I think you've addressed 2 already, specifically around why you made the decisions that you made around those 13 vetoes. Any of the 2 or 3 of them?
So I think I want to talk about House Bill 266, and that's what they're calling the Duke Energy Bill. So we rolled back about 5 years for clean carbon. It was supposed to be 2015 to 2025, and we rolled it back 5 years to 2030. And people keep on saying that bills are gonna go up. It's 3 things why that bill was put in. Number 1, we must move swiftly to clean energy. And the cleanest energy, people don't want to face it, is nuclear energy. So we have to make an investment in that. Now, why do we need those? Because our grid lines are bad. Because we're getting over 170 approximately people coming into North Carolina every day. And it's putting significant strain on our grid lines and the use of availability of energy. So the plan is how it is set up is that once they do whatever they gotta do to make the purchase, it's like a home equity loan. You're not gonna pay the principal and the interest at the end of it. You're gonna go ahead and pay the interest at the beginning because economically, you're gonna be extra over at the end. You follow me, right? So also, AI is here. Also, data centers are coming. We're not gonna stop AI. But data centers, people don't know, are required. 30% across the country are using data centers, across the world are using data centers. And what they use them for? Healthcare, information, electronics. AI are also using it. 68% of physicians and primary care providers across the country are using it for administrative. So we have to get prepared for what's coming, and we're just not there yet.
Can I offer an answer? Thank you. Thank you so much for that question. One of the things I want to say is that when we, can I answer or not?
Okay, that was specifically for Carly. Yeah.
So one of the things I'd say is that Duke Energy often makes money by building new projects. And unfortunately, what that means is they'll start to build a wonderful $9 billion nuclear power plant in the state of South Carolina, let's say, and not be able to complete that. But it doesn't mean that the rates don't already go up. So people are paying more money for projects that will never come to fruition. This is a problem. This is our money. We can't afford for building projects that don't come to fruition. In essence, what I would love to see us spend more money on is expanding green energy. Things like solar energy, wind energy.
Okay, I'm gonna have to cut you off because that question was specific for a candidate. And so
May I finish?
Okay, we're going to the next one. Suan? Saida?
Good morning, my name is Saida Sudan. I own and operate a domestic violence shelter here in Charlotte with women that look like me. There is no shelter here that I would feel safe in to go in because of the way I look. I have visited some shelters here. There are many Muslim women that are not treated fairly. So I was always told, my father said, if there's not something that you need to create it. And I did. I created a domestic violence shelter for Muslim, non-Muslim, and immigrant women. Oh, well, can I ask my question?
Yeah. You need to ask your question. We are running out of time.
I'm coming. So here's my question. Okay. How would you, and this is for everybody, can I say everybody or no?
You can, but just keep in mind they just have 1 minute.
Okay. 5 minutes.
Or less.
So how will you support funding for survivor services, shelters, and intervention programs? Because that's important.
I will always vote to support these things and to make sure that we are protecting women and that we have shelters available for all people. I think it starts with education as well, and making sure that we have an education system that supports all religions and all people. So we don't have these problems to begin with, but unfortunately we still do. So we must create solutions for specific groups, and just like people like you do, it just means funding those projects, supporting those people, and really raising these issues to the top of the table so they don't get drowned out by all the rhetoric we hear from the GOP. Thank you.
I pray that we always have services that are available to everyone, no matter their background, their color, their creed. And I want to make sure that we do fund a social safety network to make sure that if people are in hard times, they have a way out. And I don't want that just to end with shelters. I want that to end with longer-term housing. I want that to end with programs, wraparound programs that talk about cooperation between city and county, making sure that they both have the money to make sure that we can move to longer-term solutions. So that's what I'd like to see come into play, just to make sure that our people not only are able to survive, but they're able to thrive.
I'm just coming out of working in a nonprofit, and I'm here to say to you, thank you for what you're doing, because the funding is not there for any sort of DEI and making those particular investments in communities that need to be invested in. So it's a much larger picture, and it's a much larger problem. We can all try to have those solutions or say we have those solutions, but as someone who just tried to fund, it's very difficult. So yes, we all need to continue to fight with that, but also share resources. So there can be the various meetings that we're having in the community so that each community group knows and understands what type of funding is available and what tweak you can make in your language to make sure that you're getting that funding. So it comes from making sure that our groups are being educated and being given the information that they need to be able to thrive. And that's something I work on.
Thank you for the question. First of all, we need the Women's Commission back established in Edinburgh County. Secondly, most of the funding for the shelters and domestic violence comes from the Government Crime Commission, and most of that funding trickles down from the federal government, and they give grants out. Their focus this time has been keeping guns out of the violent offenders' hands. I want to tell you, I brought home $2.1 million to nonprofits. Transitional housing, Gracious Hands Transitional Housing for women and children. I was able to bring some funding home for them. And those were for women and children that were displaced, probably from domestic violence cases. So you definitely can, if your legislator will do it, they need to go back and ask for the funding for the 501c3s in their community that need the assistance. And that's what I've done. Thank you for the question.
Thank you.
Okay, we are really stretched on our time. Oh, did everybody have a chance to say something?
Well, I'm kind of short. Look, everybody has their specialty. Representative Cunningham's specialty is health, human services, and she shared some of the things she did, but I deal with veterans, that's my specialty, but we'll communicate further about those processes through which you can access those funds, and maybe you can get some success in that venture.
Thank you.
Okay, I want you to keep in mind also that we have probably about 10 more questions. We are not going to get those, okay? Remember, when you raised your hand, we put your name on the list. You are on there. We may not have gotten to you yet, but you are on there. I'm going to ask you now to question 30 seconds or less. 15 is plenty of time to ask a question without commentary, and direct it to one person. One person. Is your hand up?
Yes. I'd like to direct the question to Ms. Nina.
She next. I don't think you're next. No, you're not next. It's Nina.
I am Nina Wynn. I'm a United Methodist minister, and I've been in Charlotte for over 30 years. In 2016, Rodney, you helped us so much in the community. You led the clergy. This is to Rodney.
I know, but please ask your question. We got so many.
Rodney, is your leadership was so important to us. How did you learn how to do that? Where did you get that experience?
I think I've worked for a number of years. Since I was a child from my father, I learned how to work on communities as he tried to redeem Camden, New Jersey, the worst city in the country, and try to bring it back. I've worked with William Barber with the Moral Monday movement, and we've been trying to put together what would look like the best advantage for the state for a number of years. I continue to work in seminary and everything else. I learned what God said. So I look at the Bible, and the Bible talks about the way that we're supposed to treat people. We're supposed to love God, love our neighbors, and love strangers. And that's the basis of everything that I try to do. So hopefully that frames all the work that I try to do. How do we lead by love?
Okay, I'm going to stop just a minute. There's a Ford 150 that's blocking. People cannot get out, okay? Go ahead.
Hey, my name is Charles. My question is for the two sitting representatives. I hope that's okay. It's really quick. I'm wondering if you'll commit right now to vote no on any bill that hamstrings local governments from making their own decisions on property taxes. We know that the state legislature doesn't provide what these communities need, so local governments have to step up. And if you hamstring us, they won't be able to do that. So I'm curious if you'll make that commitment.
That would just take a yes or a no.
Thank you for the question. I think, it's easy to say yes or no. We have to look at the information that is given to us and dissect it and research it ourselves. We try to give the authority to local government as much as possible, but we have seen where regulations have prevented individuals that are homeowners from expanding and moving forward with what they need to do for their properties. And that's why we are currently looking at property tax reform, as well as looking at some regulation, deregulation of some of the housing inspection requirements that are required to go forward. So we need to definitely look at it, but not make a decision based on whether it is local or statewide.
Okay, Sharif.
Wait, you didn't
Yeah, that was just one. Do you have anything different to say? Because we asked for one to ask one person. Sharif, I'm sorry I'm moving fast, but our time is really running out.
Yeah, I shortened my question down by like 25 seconds.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My question is for Reverend Sadler. Just really quick. There's this concept called public-private partnership, and the I-77 toll was pretty much given away to private equity for 50 years, and for what will probably amount for $6 billion for what's a $650 million road. We don't want this. Republicans don't want this. What will you do to make sure that the public is prioritized in public-private partnerships? Thank you.
Yeah, I want to always make sure that we're putting the needs of the people first. I want to make sure that we're not putting in place systems that will be in place for a long time that will extract more money from local people. that tax money won't be used for private investment. I want to make sure that we, as the people, have the opportunity to govern what goes on, so that we don't build these toll roads that don't take away traffic in the middle of rush hour. It makes no sense to have these kinds of projects. So I want to make sure that we have power given to the people of the state. Thank you.
Christie.
Yes, yes, so this is to Representative Cunningham. North Carolina will lose approximately $2 billion annually once corporate income tax is fully eliminated in 2030. What specific revenue sources will you propose to replace this debt downfall? And if replacement revenue isn't found, which programs would you prioritize protecting? Public education, Medicaid, mental health services for post-conviction legal assistance, and what gets cut first?
Thank you for the question, but that was a lot in there. That's a complex answer. I don't have a determination of what would get cut. I know for the House right now, we don't want another tax cut. That tax cut has come from the Senate side. So we don't want another one because we're looking at our forecast of the revenues that we have. And with the changes coming to Medicaid expansion, we're worried about those 200,000 people right now that may lose, as well as we have to fund the Medicaid rebates. And we haven't quite done that yet. But those decisions won't be just made on one item. We have to look at the forecast, what the revenues are, and hopefully the Senate will not continue to push for the tax cut. That is my hope, but we definitely will have to look at each item individually and the impact that it would have on the budget.
I have one short question. What can be done to improve health care here? I'm in a situation where I have a terminal patient and I can't get anything to do.
Okay, who do you want that to go to?
Representative.
Oh, okay.
Thank you for that question. I've been working on healthcare for a number of years. I was the healthcare chair for the state of North Carolina NAACP. And one of the things I want to make sure that we do is give money to local communities, healthcare centers in the county, to make sure that they're able to maximize the services that are given directly to the people. If you've got patients that aren't able to gain access, I want them to be able to gain access through at least the local public health systems. And I'm going to be honest with you. Long term, I would love to see us have a single payer system, a system that said we all work together, everything goes into a common pool, and we have a means of paying for healthcare from a single source. It doesn't have to be government, it can be a single source to make sure that we take the for-profit motive out of our healthcare. Healthcare is nothing that should be for-profit. Healthcare is nothing that only the wealthy should be able to afford and the poor can't afford. Healthcare, as Dr. King said, is a human right.
Okay, Sarah Ellis, right here.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
This brief question is for Representative Cunningham. You did make remarks on House Bill 266, and you answered the question on that particular entity. But I have a question for you about the contributions that you received from Duke Energy. Can you share the amount that you have received and how much the utility bills have gone up for residents of House Bill 106?
Thank you for the question. There's a maximum amount that any PAC can give you, and that's currently $600 to $800. And a lot of legislators receive PAC money. And let me explain to you about PAC money. As an African-American female, I don't get as much PAC money as the other person gets. I'm the lowest one on the totem pole. But I will get something. House Bill, you were talking about the contributions. Number one, people need to understand this. There's a Public Utilities Commission in place. Most of those commissioners are selected by the governor that serve on that commission. And then there's a public side to the commission. Every time an entity public utility asks for a request for a rate hike, it has to go to the Public Utilities Commission. Then the public sector takes an evaluation of it to see how it would impact the ratepayer. Then a recommendation is made from the public sector to the Utilities Commission, and they are the one that determine whether there is a rate hike awarded to the public utilities entity. So that's how it works. I don't raise utility rates. That is totally regarded to the Public Utilities Commission discretion to determine whether they raise the rate.
Okay, Olivia.
Good morning, Arlethea Hailstock, Blumenthal Arts. My question is for Reverend Dr. Sadler. One of the points in your platform is that you believe that everyone should have one job. We should live where everyone has one job that is enough to afford a home, clean water to drink, and good food to eat. How can we make that happen?
I think the first thing that we need to do is to make sure that local government has the ability to set livable wages. I think that that's something that we've long missed out on here in the state of North Carolina. Places like New York City have already been able to set their own kind of minimum wage to make sure that their people are able to live and live more effectively. They're also able to do things like establish rent controls to make sure that people are able to afford to live in their places long term. We need the ability to do those kinds of things. In essence, we need to do the simple things, the smart things that will ensure that people are able to sustain themselves in society. You got a 40-hour-a-week job, you shouldn't have to have 2 or 3 of those to support yourself and your children. Amen?
Amen. We have a mayor.
Okay, I got it.
Got it.
Okay. Yeah, you know, this is our process. You have to raise your hand. We are at the end of this, and we're going to give these people a big hand. And I'm going to give each one of them 30 seconds. You got that, Nathan? 30 seconds to give a closing remark. Please do not go over. Okay, where you want to start? Okay.
Well, thank you, Tuesday morning for forum. This has been an excellent educational benefit for our community. I'm the CPG, a father, a business owner, we're represented in the House of Representatives, and a veteran, and a community leader. So I'm asking for your support, your continued support. I have a record of service in the community. You can talk to me afterwards and ask me specifically. I'm not a whole lot of talk, I'm a lot of do. So I appreciate your support and thank you for your vote. Please see the House from Maryland.
You're a long-time supporter of the Tuesday morning.
Okay, let's move on. Thank you.
I'm Carla Cunningham. I'm serving my 7th term. I'm considered a senior legislator. I currently serve on 25 different committees, and I am totally thankful for the Tuesday morning breakfast and the connection my husband had with Sarah Stevenson, as well as your continued support. If you need to know more, go to Carla Cunningham, nchouse.com, and you can get additional information from our website. Thank you so much.
Somebody.
So I want to thank you all for being here today. I want to thank you again to the Sarah Stevenson Tuesday Forum. I want to thank you all for just being involved in the community and being involved in your local politics. It's very important that you share with everyone that education is the most important thing that we can do right now, and sharing our information that we know is true with each other so we can beat this disinformation crisis and elect leaders that are really going to work for the people. To find out more about my campaign, our website will be published soon, and you can go to our Instagram at TuckerNeal4NC. I think that's about it, so thank you so much again.
Thank you. Thank you all for hosting. You know, this continues to be such a pivotal moment where people have an opportunity to come together and have their voices heard. I will say that my entire campaign focuses on a circle of service. I listened to a couple of things here on this bench this morning, and I want you to understand that you can focus on one thing, but families have to focus on all things. So my campaign follows that circle of service, and it doesn't end with a speech, it ends with follow through. We all have to do that. You can find my information at checklevy.com, and please reach out to me at any time.
Thank you all. Thank you all for being here this morning. Thank you all for being involved. I'm grateful to the Tuesday Forum for allowing me to come and speak. Let me just say that I'm running a campaign to put the needs of the people first, and I want to make sure that we have a situation where everyone can thrive, where all of our kids will be educated equally, where everybody has an opportunity to vote and that's protected. I want to make sure that we all have access to things like healthcare and clean environments in which to live. I'm here to say that I really want to make sure that we represent everyone in our district. If you can't represent everyone equally, you don't deserve to represent anyone. Amen?
Thank you so much. Now, we're not finished. We have some announcements. Carlenia Ivory has 2 announcements that are really important, and you please legislate. I see Arlethea has an announcement, and Carlenia was not here when we were thanking her for the Christmas party. That, you know, it was magnificent. I think it was the best one we've ever had. And so, here we thank her for that. Okay, you want to make your announcements?
Thank you, Mary. I have 2 announcements, very important. We know Martin Luther King's birthday is upcoming. On January 17th, there will be a luncheon at Friendship Missionary Baptist Church. It is at noon, and we have a handful of seats left. It is free. Even though it's free, you don't come, we're gonna mark your name this year, and we're gonna send you a bill. We're gonna make up a price. So please, if you sign up to come, and you can do that today, then make sure you're gonna make that commitment. Also, on the 19th, McCory YMCA continues to have their breakfast in the morning. So if you're interested in attending that MLK breakfast, please get in touch with McCory YMCA. Those are 2 very, very important events. Thank you, Mary.
Okay,
Yeah.
Are there any other announcements? Okay.
I do want to let everyone know that next week, next Tuesday, we have our candidates for sheriff that will be here. So that's what we have next week, our candidates for sheriff. Okay, go ahead, Arlethea.
Good morning, once again, Arlethea, the Impact Manager at Blumenthal Arts. I just want to put in the room once again that we have 2 scholarships available and applications are open right now. These are for high school seniors going into entering college next year. There are 2. We have multiple, but the 2 largest are the Mary Doctor Scholarship and the Gordon Hay Scholarship. Please go to blumenthalarts.org, click on education, and then students for more information. Most importantly, the young person applying does not have to be a performer. Thank you.
Okay, this young lady right here.
Good morning, I'm Laura Cooper. I'll use my teacher voice, okay? I represent the League of Women Voters. We are opening a registration for Civics 101. Everyone in this room is already very involved, but you know people who do not understand how government works in North Carolina. It is not like everywhere else.
Amen.
And we need to know how our local government, our state government works. I have a schedule and directions for enrollment. It's going to begin in February. It's a terrific opportunity. Please pick up a schedule and see me if you have any other questions. Thank you.
Good morning. I want to make the announcement that on Sunday at 5:30, the International Minority Coalition is having its monthly meeting at 1610 Allegheny Street, and we'd love for you all to come and join us. We have more than 15 countries that we represent, so if you're about the community, we have a good time every day.
Not necessarily an announcement, more of a question. Who's gonna sponsor us next Tuesday with the breakfast? I'm looking at the sheriff candidates right here. You got?
Come on. I'll let you all work that out, okay? You work that out after we finish. Thank you so much. Oh, we have another announcement.
Yeah, good morning again. January 27th of this year, Ben Cates is coming to town, and we're gonna have a conversation about
the Black and Jewish connection when you're talking about civil rights and justice.
Thank you. Okay, thank you all. Please come back next week. Thank you so much.
Well,